Good morning, YouTube friends. Thanks so much for coming by. Today we are talking salad. Warm, crispy bacon salad for breakfast, I might add. Keep on watching to see how we do it. Okay guys, I'm just gonna pour myself some tea before we get started on this salad here. I don't know about you, but I have been really struggling between trying to use up my pantry ingredients and getting greens in. I've been in a bit of a rut with salad. I stumbled across this recipe by accident, just trying to use some things up, and it's a total game changer. It has entirely revived my love of salads. So I'm gonna show you how to make some really quick and simple rice paper bacon. So I've had the same package of rice paper in my pantry for probably over 2 years. In fact, now that I'm thinking about it, I think I may have moved this package of rice paper from my last house to this house. So it might even be expired, but it's a perfect way to use it up because it takes forever to use up a package of rice paper if you're just making spring rolls every once in a while. So it's a really great way to use them. I'm starting with making our marinade here for our bacon. Okay, so we've got a little shallow bowl here that we're gonna mix our marinade in. This marinade is super simple. You hopefully have most of the ingredients on hand, and it's really versatile. You can tweak it in any direction depending on your taste or what you have in your pantry. So the base here, I'm gonna do 2 tablespoons of olive oil, and then I'm going to add 2 tablespoons of real maple syrup. It's gonna give us a nice mapley bacon flavor. And then I'm going to add 1 teaspoon of liquid aminos, which is pretty much soy sauce. So if you have soy sauce, totally switch it out if you don't have the liquid aminos there. This is just soy-free / gluten-free. So 1 teaspoon of that. And then to this, I'm going to add just a little touch of liquid smoke. This stuff is crazy potent, but it totally makes your rice paper bacon tastes like bacon. I've got a hickory flavor, and I think I did about 5 drops. You can find it near your barbecue sauce and hot sauce in the grocery store. Now I'm going to add our seasoning here. So I'm adding 2 teaspoons of nutritional yeast, a half a teaspoon of pepper and roasted red pepper flakes and garlic powder, 1/4 of a teaspoon of onion powder, and just a pinch of salt because we already have that liquid aminos in there. We don't want it to be super salty. And this is where you can tweak it. If you want it less spicy, add less of the red pepper flakes. More sweet, add more maple syrup, etc. So I've got our rice paper here. We've got 2 sheets. We're gonna do kind of like a 2-ply bacon here. It gives it a little bit of chew and not too much crunch once you cook them. So I'm just barely dunking these, not like how you'd make a normal spring roll, just barely getting them wet so I can cut them into strips a little bit more easily. Otherwise they seem to break off. So you can see there's a little crack there already. So I'm just barely dunking them, and then I'm going to use a pair of kitchen shears or regular scissors, whatever you got. I'm going to cut them into about 1 to 2 inch strips. And this paper is still a bit brittle, but you want to work fast because the longer it sits with the water, the more gummy it's going to get. So I'd say these are about 1 inch thick. Once we've got our strips cut, we're going to dunk them in our marinade and get them in the oven. So I'm just taking each strip and dunking it and moving it along the entire length. I realize I should not be wiping off the extra. Get as much of that marinade on there as you can because that is all of your flavor. We're just putting them on a cookie sheet that's lined with parchment paper. You can use a silicone mat as well. And this marinade will go through about 2 or so 2-ply bacon sheets, if that makes any sense at all. I will, of course, type out everything in the description bar below. And once we've got everything dunked, as you can see, that one's getting a little more gummy. They're getting springy, so they're a little bit harder to dunk, but I still made it work. It's okay if they're not perfectly flat because they're still quite thin. They're going to get nice and crispy, and if it doubles up, it'll give you a little bit of chew. So no big deal. Okay, we're going to toss these in the oven at 400 degrees for about 8 minutes. And then we are going to flip them and cook them for about 7 or 8 minutes longer until they're nice and crispy and bubbly. I'll show you what it looks like in just a moment here. Here's all our beautiful marinated bacons. Smells quite good. Here we are bubbling away. And that's after it's been flipped and cooked for another 7 minutes. Nice and crispy. Seriously, game changer. Note my quarantine manicure here. Super classy. So now that our bacon's good to go, I've got the rest of our ingredients going for our breakfast salad here. Got some red potatoes that we're about to go, some portobello mushrooms, a zucchini that's a little soft, he's ready to be cooked or frozen, and some red onion. I've shredded 2 of our red potatoes into just a little bit of olive oil and browned them on one side, scooched them over. If you saw my What I Eat in a Day video, that's where I kind of discovered this recipe, so I've been tweaking it ever since. It's a 1-pot recipe, which is super awesome. So I've scooched the potatoes over, I'm adding my sliced portobello mushrooms, gonna let those cook down and flip them over before I add the zucchini. Now that they've cooked down, I've got room for the zucchinis. Just tossing them in there. I'm gonna add a good amount of pepper and garlic powder for some flavor. And once those are browned up a little bit, I'm going to sprinkle just a little bit of nutritional yeast on there, get it nice and cheesy and hearty tasting. Also B12, super helpful. Use whatever veggies you've got that are on the verge. That's kind of my rule of thumb here, especially being in quarantine. So I have this arugula that I'm trying to use up as well. Big giant handful of it. It's nice and peppery and delicious. And then this red onion. Then I'm going to add just a bit of my potato here. On top of that are roasted mushrooms and our garlic with nutritional yeast and a lot of pepper on it. Nice thing about these warm salads, the texture of the lettuce almost changes because it wilts just a little bit, so you get that crunchy raw lettuce as well as the warm kind of wilted lettuce that's absorbed some of the flavors from your cooked veggies. So it's a nice different way to eat salad. It is very much like a breakfast hash to me, and I really love it. So I'm just breaking up our little bacons here. It's ready to go. This looks so good. I wish you could smell it. It smells amazing. Cannot wait to eat it. I'm also going to add just a bit of my super simple tahini dressing recipe. It's just tahini, lemon, a little bit of apple cider vinegar, water, and seasoning. I'll link below. I eat it on just about everything. Super good for you and really filling. I hope that this recipe revamps your love for salad the way it did for me. I hope you're staying safe and healthy, and I will talk to you soon. Thanks so much for watching, guys. Cheers.